All right, welcome back, Hilbert Panthers. Lesson 21, Causes of the Civil War, Part 2. Our learning targets today is we're just going to go over a number of issues that occurred in the United States between the years 1820 and 1860. Each of these issues a cause of the Civil War because with each one, North and South growing farther and farther apart until eventually the South will secede. They will form their own government and they will go to war with the North over the issue of states' rights and slavery. The last issue we talked about in the first lesson, for the first part of lesson 21, was the Preston Brooks attack on Senator Charles Sumner on the Senate floor. And Northerners outraged and Southerners, they sent him more canes. They wanted him to hit him again. So now, this next issue is going to involve a gentleman by the name of Dred Scott. Dred Scott was a slave. And he sued for his freedom because his owner, who lived in Missouri, moved to Wisconsin for a period of time and took Dred Scott with him. Dred Scott is a free territory. They then returned to Missouri and Dred's slave owner died, and that is when Dred Scott decided that he was going to sue for his freedom. All right? And the decision, this case went all the way to the Supreme Court, and the decision by the Supreme Court shocked everybody. All right? And in a decision that was voted on by the Supreme Court, 7-2, 7 justices favored this opinion, 2 dissented. They decided 2 things. 1, Dred Scott should never have been able to sue. He was not a U.S. citizen. African Americans, whether they be free or slaves, back at that time, were not U.S. citizens. And because of that, he should not have been able to file a lawsuit. The second thing, and this was just as shocking, was that the Supreme Court said that the Missouri Compromise was unconstitutional because Congress cannot forbid anybody from taking their property wherever they want to take their property. That is a right under the Fifth Amendment. And the property that we're talking about here is slaves. So if someone wanted to move anywhere in the United States and they wanted to take their slaves with them, under the Fifth Amendment, they have that right to property to take their slaves with them. South loved this. They absolutely love this decision. They're looking at possibly spreading slavery to the territories in the North. The North, outraged, couldn't believe what was just decided by the Supreme Court. With the issue of slavery, political parties were ending and new political parties were taking their place. 2 political parties were going to end. The Free Soil Party, whose mantra was that freedom in the territories. They should be free. And the Whig Party. Whig Party had been around for a while, but Southern Whigs believed in slavery. Northern Whigs wanted to end slavery. The party fell apart. All of these people had to find a new political party. And the Republican Party is going to be formed. It was actually formed in Michigan in 1854, Jackson, Michigan. And the Republican Party stated that no man can own another man. Slavery must be prohibited in the territories. Republicans believed that slavery could not spread. All right, they wanted to stop the spread of slavery. All new states must be free states. So any new territories coming along had to be free states, and the rights of our colored citizens must be protected. That was the viewpoint of the new Republican Party, anti-slavery. That slavery cannot spread, any new territories must become states. And in 1858, They are going to have Abraham Lincoln run for senator of the state of Illinois, not president of the United States. In 1858, he's going to run for senator in the state of Illinois, and he's going to run against this gentleman, Stephen Douglas, one of the most well-known senators in the country. So little Abraham Lincoln, unknown to almost everybody, is going to take on this well-seasoned veteran of a politician. And the way they did this is they held a series of debates. They held 7 debates. They went around the state of Illinois in a train, and they stopped at 7. Illinois had 9 districts at the time. They stopped at 7 of those 9 districts. They would get out, and they would debate each other on the issues of the day. And the big one, slavery. And these were huge crowds that came out to watch these debates. And unfortunately, we can't have these kind of debates today. I mean, because today, when someone disagrees with you, well, we just yell at them and shout them down. If we were able to have nice, leisurely, civil debates, a lot of things could be settled. All right, I'm off my soapbox. So Lincoln is a Republican, and he's running for the senator. Stephen Douglas is a Democrat. And Abraham Lincoln is going to lose the race for senator. Stephen Douglas wins. I don't think there was any doubt that Stephen Douglas was going to win. But people liked Abraham Lincoln's way of talking. They liked his stance on slavery. And because of these debates, he's going to become more well known. People are going to jump on the Abraham Lincoln bandwagon. Their issue on slavery. Abraham Lincoln did not want to end slavery. He wanted to stop the spread of it in the territories. Stephen Douglas was for popular sovereignty. He wanted the people in the territories to be able to vote on the issue of slavery. So they had differing opinions on the issue of slavery. Stephen Douglas is going to win, but this is the year 1858. When the presidential election comes around in 1860, both men will run for president of the United States, and there will be a different outcome. My man John Brown. Last we heard from John Brown, he was in Kansas dragging 5 pro-slavery men out of their beds in the night with his sons, and then hacking them to death with swords. He's got another plan this time. This time, John Brown is going to lead a slave rebellion. His plans is to go to Harper's Ferry, Virginia. That is the site of a government arsenal. An arsenal holds weapons and ammunition. And the thought behind this, and Northern abolitionists funded him in this project, he and his followers, including his sons, captured the federal arsenal. Once they captured the federal arsenal, escaped slaves were supposed to flock there. They would hand out weapons, and then they would go around the South ending slavery. All right, they would lead an armed insurrection. Unfortunately for Mr. Brown, he did capture the arsenal, but the escaped slaves did not come. The U.S. Marines came. They surrounded the place. Shooting was involved. His followers who weren't captured or killed, all right, including his sons, so they were either captured or killed. John Brown was also captured and put on trial. He was found guilty of treason, working against the government, and he was sentenced to hang. All right. John Brown claimed that he was put on earth for one reason, to get rid of slavery, and he was going to use any means necessary, as witnessed in Kansas and here at Harper's Ferry. Southerners, they were scared now. Were there going to be more people trying to lead slave rebellions? Northerners, they wrote songs about this guy. They considered him a hero because he was willing to do whatever it took to get rid of slavery. The last cause of the Civil War was the election of 1860. All right, North and South greatly divided. Things are getting real bad. and then we have the election of 1860. You're going to have four people running for president of the United States. One is going to be John Bell. He's going to be the candidate for a newly created political party called the Constitutional Union Party. They wanted to find some compromise. Things were getting out of control. They wanted the country to still come to some type of compromise to avoid any conflict. Right? Stephen Douglas, Northern Democrat. Right? We already know his stance on the issue of slavery. He was for popular sovereignty. Let the people decide. John C. Breckinridge. He is going to be the Southern Democratic. So notice, the Democrats have two candidates, one Northern, one Southern. Southern Democrat, Breckinridge, slavery should be allowed anywhere. And then you got this new guy, Abraham Lincoln, representing the Republican Party. And he wants to stop the spread of slavery to the territories. Now remember, back in 1858, he became a little bit better known. And so here are your four candidates for President of the United States. The election takes place. Abraham Lincoln is in the red here. John C. Breckinridge is in purple. John Bell, the Constitutional Union Party, they won a few states. Mr. Stephen Douglas didn't do well at all. He won Missouri and he got part of New Jersey. But if you take a look, this election was divided. In the north, Lincoln won. In the south, Breckinridge won. Abraham Lincoln is going to win the election, and he's only going to get 40% of the popular vote. He's going to have enough electoral votes, but he's only 40% of the people voted for him. In 10 southern states, his name wasn't even on the ballot. He wasn't even a choice in 10 southern states. And yet, he becomes the next president of the United States. Now remember, he didn't want to end slavery, he wanted to stop the spread of it. But Southerners now felt that he was going to end slavery. On December 20th, 1860, South Carolina is going to be the first Southern state to leave the Union. All right, South Carolina, remember the Tariff Abominations? They were the ones who wanted to secede then. They're seceding now. And 6 states follow. 6 states follow. And by February of 1861, you now have the Confederate States of America. They have formed a government. Southern states have seceded. All right? But we're not at war yet. Not until this happens. South Carolina again. All right, so when the South seceded, there were some military forts down south. Now, Abraham Lincoln had a decision to make. Now, Abraham Lincoln said he was not going to be the one to start the war. Abraham Lincoln wanted the southern states to come back, but he had a decision to make. The Union troops, the northern troops in Fort Sumter, they were running out of supplies. Well, does he give up the fort, or does he send a ship with more supplies? Well, he sent a ship, but before it got there, the Civil War is going to start. What happened was the Confederates, the South, ordered the northern troops inside the fort to surrender. They refused. Now, it's a little interesting story, at least I think so. The commander of the Union forces for the North in the fort, the North will be the Union, the South will be the Confederates, was a guy named Robert Anderson. And Robert Anderson had taught at West Point. And he had a brilliant student, favorite student that he asked to stay at West Point to help him teach. And this gentleman's name was Beauregard. And he did. That was before 1860, that's before this. Well, now, the Union commander in the fort, Robert Anderson, is being asked to surrender by the Southern commander, who is Beauregard, his favorite student. Anderson says no. Beauregard fires on the fort. The next morning, the Union waves a flag of surrender. They leave the fort. They're allowed to go back up north. Civil War has begun. All right. And so we talked about all those issues, all those causes, all building up to Fort Sumter and the beginning of the Civil War. All right, so that's lesson 21, part 2. Thanks.